Recording in progress. There we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Square Bootcamp. Glad that you could make it here today with us. And let's see if we can actually share the screen. Let's see if that works. Producer Hind, could you actually pull that? Look at this. The technology is falling into place. We had a couple of hiccups along the way, but we're going to manage to get through this today. So today is part 5. Can you believe it? We've been doing this for over a month now, but today, this is going to be a really good session. I'm super excited about this one. Part 5, appointments and bookings. Producer Hind, boom, go to that second slide right there. Let's talk about what we're going to be covering today. So today we're going to be talking about managing staff and assigning jobs. For the most part, think about all of those merchants that you have talked to previously, where they need that kind of functionality built right into it, managing staff, assigning jobs, bookable services, and assigning staff. Then we're going to jump into appointments booked by online customers, and then we're going to wrap everything up with booking service professionals. Producer Hind, domo arigato. Thank you for sharing that, my friend. We can get that pulled down. Just so everybody knows, all 5 of you, we are recording this today, and it's going to go live on our YouTube channel probably within about 24 hours or so. What's happening now is our marketing team, they send out the recordings on Friday afternoons. However, if you're very, very curious and you want to go to the Pay Compass YouTube channel, go ahead, jump right in there, see if it gets uploaded towards the end of the day. If not, first thing tomorrow morning. But otherwise, you should see an email from marketing probably by tomorrow afternoon. That's going to have this week's Toolbox Tuesday. And look at that. That's Square Bootcamp. We put Square Bootcamp just a little bit higher because this is where we teach you how to use your demo account so that you can present to a wide array of merchants. Now, since we are recording this, like I said, it's going to go live on our YouTube channel. However, if you're the type of sales agent that prefers to use an AI note taker, go ahead and go for it. We don't mind at all. The only thing that we do not cover during these sessions is pricing. So if you've got questions with Square where it's like, hey, how do I do surcharging? Or, how can I set them up on cash discounting? This is not the place for that. This is where we show you how to use your demo account. You got any pricing questions? You got one of 2 options. You can reach out directly to your local RSD, and they can help you with the pricing. Or if you would like, that magical email address that I say time and time again, sales@paycompass.com. So let's get this one kicked off, and we're going to present content towards the very beginning. As we're presenting content, go ahead, throw questions into the chat at the very end. You can come right off mute, and we'll gladly take your questions live. Ladies and gentlemen, other companies, they have what they call an SME. Not here at Pay Compass. We have an SSME, which stands for the Square Subject Matter Expert. Ooh, that was a hard one to get out. I will never play with letters ever again. Ladies and gentlemen, give some love to John Marshall. Hey, John.
Scott, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Hind.
Good afternoon, my friend. Good to see you on the call here today. So rather than jump into what we normally do, which is start showing the Square demo account. John, when you and I were talking a little bit earlier, we were talking about the fact that week after week, we keep saying to our friends here that with Square, and I believe it, remind me, John, it starts at the Plus and the Premium plan up to 10 websites per business, correct?
Yes, exactly right. So just to pull this back up for everybody, there are 3 rack rate plans. Most of this content and the features we're talking about are the paid plans, the Plus and the Premium. And today we're going to be diving into the bookings section. Again, I highly recommend the squareup.com website. Again, you can see all of the features listed by the plan name, and there's little hoverovers that give you an example of what these different features do. Super, super convenient. Definitely use it, bookmark it, and make it your best friend.
John, I was going to say, if you could, before you move along, my friend, could you actually copy that link, throw it right into the chat? Everybody, to John's point, you really have to take advantage of at least this page, okay? Because this gives you a really clean breakdown in regards to free plan, plus plan, premium plan. Free plan, just to define it very quickly, you're talking to that business, one business owner, probably the only person that runs any transactions whatsoever. That's where the free plan starts. Now, what we're doing week after week is we're guiding you to go after some of those bigger accounts. You really should be talking to a wide range of different businesses. You should be talking to contractors. You should be talking to salons. You should just, there's such a wide range. Don't leave the money on the table, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. So today, why don't we kick this off, John? And since we've been saying it week after week, plus plan, premium plan, up to 10 websites per business, this is where the value comes in when we're talking about appointments and bookings. John, show some of those examples that you showed to me earlier today.
Sure. So we're talking about bookings and appointments. So salons are sort of top of mind. So I'll show you a couple of that, but I'll also show you some deviations in other businesses that could use this online booking. So Cindy's here, has a little slideshow up top, as you can see. She goes into her services. She's got a little ticker tape banner running through here. These are all drag and drop tools that are available in the Square website builder, right? And of course, all of these tools and your products or services also are linked in. So super easy to make this all happen. If we just go into a Book Now page to give you a quick example. And we'll talk about this in a moment. We have crazy fonts. It almost looks like Toolbox Tuesday, Scott.
It does. That is the Toolbox Tuesday font. I'm going to send a text message to our lawyer right now for copyright infringement. But keep going, John. What else do we got here?
So again, you can see here are all the different services that this group is defined. I can click on any one. And as we will talk about in setting this up, right, you can choose your different, oh, I don't know what jellyfish haircut is. I'm going to select that.
Oh, good Lord. I wish I had enough hair to book that.
So I select that, and now I can take first available staff, or I can select from these two. And we'll show you a little bit. These two have been pre-assigned to this jellyfish haircut service. There may be other stylists available, but they don't specialize in this, so we're not seeing them here. So if we take Adrian, for example, and move to the next page, I'm just going to say next. I can see that she has availability today, immediately, or tomorrow. And notice we can actually join a wait list for a specific time if she's unavailable. And this will come back into our discussion later this hour when we talk about booking for classes. So let me just pull this back and remove these services. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, John, as you're moving it back, and to you, the sales agent, the reason why we're highlighting this is because week after week we've said, up to 10 free up to 10 websites, for a business that signs up for Plus or Premium. What we wanted to show you is that this is not rudimentary, cookie cutter. John, go back to the home screen very, very quickly, my man. Just very, very quickly. And then you can jump back into the bookings again, okay? These are the kind of conversations that you should be having with your merchant. If you notice that they're only advertising like on Facebook, or maybe they're trying a little stuff on Instagram, pretty limited in regards to what they could do, because it's pretty much either pictures, videos, and not really like a lot of content. But as John was pointing out here, a lot of this is drag and drop templates. Businesses can literally get themselves set up in no time. Look at this. They can even have an About Us section. There are no limits in regards to how the business owner's mind works. Plenty of resources available to them. And one thing that we've always said week after week is that Square offers the guidance to help business to be successful. John, go ahead. Take it away, man. Go back to that whole booking and the whole 9 yards that you were showing off.
Well, so I'm actually keep throwing some other examples. And again, we've been picking on salons, right? But hey, what about someone who does like tutoring, online tutoring, right? Those customers, those students can book their own time slots, and different flavors here, different topics, perhaps different durations. So again, tutoring, interesting variation. How about a traveling veterinarian, right? Maybe they make house calls because Fifi has to have her nails trimmed, right? Or pet sitting, or I don't know what a glucose curve is, but it's available, right? So veterinarians. And then Scott, this is one of my favorites. Here's actually an embedded video on a loop. Again, I love the dark theme. getting a little balayage action there, putting the foils in. Uh, oh, they do nails, different styling services, meet the team again, testimonials. Scott, these are high quality images and
Yeah,
a very, very professional site.
yeah. And this is one of the things to emphasize, okay? So, think about previous conversations that you may have had with other ISOs where they say, yeah, you know what, we could build a website for your customer, and you look at it and it just falls flat and it's not really fun. It's not really intuitive. It doesn't really draw you in and go, wow, I really want to learn more about this business. So what Square is doing is Square is saying, look, the sky's the limit. Like John said, embedded videos, a complete breakdown in regards to adding high quality pictures. But going back to the veterinarian one, obviously that was a business that said, look, we just want to get our services out there, and that's okay. Because there are going to be some merchants that don't really want all that zhuzh happening on the screen. They just want to keep it super duper simple so that they can connect with their customer base. John, go ahead and take it away, my man.
Yeah. So one thing I don't want to, I don't want to not mention that is this gives you those website building tools, right? The merchant still needs to put it together. That said, Square does have a long list of pre-built templates that they can use and assign, and it'll assign those different fonts and color schemes and so forth to get them, off the ground quick. They still have to add their content and maybe order it properly. And I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole with the online ordering and the website builder because we have another boot camp coming up that's going to do a deeper dive into how to set these up. But I just want to make sure everybody knows that these are included features at no extra cost. Really amazing value propositions. So Scott, let's move back into the portal and take a look at maybe how we would set some of these up. Again, I'm using a browser here, but you could certainly have, like an iPad, on the counter and all this, and you would see when people were signing up with the different staff. You can set an approval setting. Either people can just book themselves, or maybe the staff needs to approve a booking before they allow it to be confirmed. So you can be a gatekeeper on some of those different functions. But a couple things I want to mention right out of the gate, and this is thinking about setting up your demo system, right? We've talked about that since the first boot camp. And what's going to make this a whole lot easier, if I just go into appointments overview, Square, leave it to them. They give you a checklist of primary setups to get your appointment set up, advanced settings, and of course you can drill into each of these and there's more information. So again, that's up here in the overview. But just
But
to
John,
go ahead.
John, just to be clear though, so for our sales agents, if they're going to be setting up their demo accounts where they can highlight this, the starting place is going into the appointment section and jumping into overview. This is where they can start. This is where the sales agent can start to build their own templates. Is that correct?
Yes, and I'm going to give you some shortcuts because I think you should build some of your staff, right? You need somebody to do the haircuts and do the coloring. So you have to make your fictitious staff, and then you need to create your services, which I'll show you in a moment, and assign the appropriate staff to those services. So let's take a look at that. Let's go down here into the staffing section and pull up our team and our team members. And here they all are, right? You can have some fun with this. Buzz Cutman is my barber. See what I did
Of
there,
course he
Scott?
is.
Diane Locks is our colorist. We've got Jason Derulo is one of our apprentice plumbers. Liquid Plumbers making an on-stage premise here as a main plumber. And then Shearlock Combs is one of our stylists. Scott, did
This
you
is
lose
the
my?
stuff that this is the stuff that keeps you up all night, isn't it?
No, this is the stuff that keeps me going during the day.
Okay, there we go. Just I
But
needed to
again,
clarify.
agents, have fun with this, right? It's going to bring levity to your demos. It's going to make you laugh. It's going to make the customer laugh, right? It's going to dial down, the salesy type approach. But anyway, define your different people. You do want to make the appropriate ones bookable. where the customer can book themselves. So just start that, best practices. And even if you're doing a hospitality demo, you still want some servers in there, some bartenders in there, and so forth. So
But one thing I'm noticing though is that some of these employees are not bookable, correct?
that is correct. So like your back of house people might not be bookable. There could be people that are consultative, but they're not actually doing any of these services, right? So you can hide and control who's bookable, who's visible, and that sort of thing.
So if I'm understanding correctly, me as a business owner, I can come in, I can add all of my employees, I can have some that are bookable, non-bookable. However, John, those non-bookable ones, as a business owner, can they be assigned if I so choose?
Well, so that's sort of the second half of this call,
Okay, go
right?
ahead. I'm sorry.
Where like an HVAC would send people out in trucks, and the office staff would assign jobs to their calendars, right? So it's not customer self-signing. That's more like in the office zone, but we're going to cover both because it's basically the same functionality. So again, just best practices, go in, define your staff. And then next, we want to define what is it we're going to sell online, right? So we want to go into items and services, open up items, and instead of going into your item library, which by the way could be your shampoos and conditioners, right? You can mix items with services when they come into the salon. But go down here to the service library. And again, services are a little different than items because they usually have a duration of service, right? How long does this service take? Are there add-ons? Does it happen on the business location property? Does it happen off at the customer location? So there's a couple of those different nuances that we will see here in the service library once it decides to load. I think maybe
There we
you
go.
get my video in favor of the fast loads for Square, but so I've got a couple different things here I've put in. So obviously drain stoppage is not really glamorous, but I did a demo for a plumbing company the other day. So just to give you an example of what that looks like inside, again, so name of the service, but funny thing, well, this is not funny, this is serious. In the description, if I tap this, I can actually have AI generate a description for me in all sorts of different, professional or not professional. Check this out, Scott, right? Short, medium, long. What is the tone? It can be, do we have, okay, we don't have comical. That would be fun. But again, I can just generate here are drain services. And this is what helps you set up what the customer sees, right? So you don't have to create all this content. You just name the product and have AI write the text for you, right? Really, really cool stuff. Categories are easy. This drain cleaning happens to be a fixed price service. You can do custom.
Go ahead, John.
You can do custom fields in any of your items. So we'll come back to there. It could be a consignment shop. You can track costs, but here's where it gets interesting, Scott, right? So this particular service takes an hour, but I'm a plumber that goes from location to location. So I've blocked a 30-minute section after each appointment, anticipating a drive, right? So a 60-minute appointment is really going to block off 90 minutes of my time as a service professional. Again, here's the haircuts, here's the stylists. Are they bookable online? And here's the most important part. Which team members are assigned to this service, right? So if I show you this list, these are the team members that are assigned to this drain cleaning process. The other thing that's really neat is there's a resources tab. Again, this is only in the premium plan. It's not in the plus plan. But resources are the things that these employees need to do their job. So we're talking about plumbers here, and this is a drain cleaning. They might need a drain cleaning machine, and there might only be 2 of them in the company. So I can assign these resources to certain jobs, and it'll not allow me to book the same service to another specialist if that unique machine is already signed up for. So let's say tanning beds, right? I might have 8. Once they're occupied, I might have a lot of people who have appointments, but they can't have a tanning bed appointment because those resources are occupied. Private dining rooms in a restaurant, thinking about the hybrid environment, stylist private rooms, all those things, again, that are scarce resources, just like your team hours are, right? So really neat ways to capture all of those different variations. Let me actually bail out of that and let's find the woman's hair color with highlights since we're talking about salons. Again, I used AI to create the description for me. Going down here again, this is a fixed priced service and it's a 2-hour duration. But Scott, this is really unique to salons, and I think it's an important shout out. Is of that 2 hours, my initial duration is perhaps when I'm, doing the coloring, when I'm putting in the foils, I'm setting up the client for success. But then, particularly if it's color, it needs to develop. So there's this processing duration where you leave the customer alone for, in this case, 45 minutes while the color develops. And then afterwards, there's probably a wash and a toner and a blowout, right? But check this out. By adding this processing time, this allows your other customers, say a 30-minute haircut, to book my services during the processing time where I'm waiting for the customer to finish, but I'm twiddling my thumbs, not actually doing anything. So I think this is a really important salon feature that's worth calling out. Again, you can also block extra time after if you have a little cleanup, need to sweep the floor, all that sort of thing. So lots of really good salon specific features also in here for that type of use. Scott, I see you've got a question.
I did, but I think I'm a little ahead of the game, so I'm going to let you keep going because
Okay,
I think
so yeah, so this is
because
service. We talked about staff. This is service library. Let's go back up and talk about appointments again a little bit, and we'll go into the calendar. There's not a lot of things that really crack me up, but this actually cracks me up. If I go into, let's see here, is it online booking settings? Let's see here. All right, so lots of communication options, right? Reminders the day before, reminders an hour before. Is the hour before SMS, but the day before email? You have all that kind of granular control. Let me go back into calendar and find my settings there.
would this be the same feature that you showed to me earlier today?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Let's
So
see if
what
we can let's see if we can find that.
I was going to say while you're looking
Oh,
for it, I
there it
did.
is. Go ahead.
There it is.
All right. The fake it filter, right? So you want your business to look like it's booming and you don't want your calendar to be all empty like a desert, right? You can turn on the fake it filter and it will hide or create fake appointments to make you look busier than you are to create a little bit of like demand, right? So I thought that was really funny and an innovation on the square size. Crystal
Yeah,
likes that.
I was, for week after week, every time we do this, it's like we keep saying repeatedly, Square thinks of everything. Square thinks of everything. Friends, when John pointed this out to me today, he goes, check it out. There's a fake it filter. And I'm like, for what? And then he defined it. And I'm like, Square? You guys think of everything. So I mean, these are options that are in here. So John, I'm going to let you continue to take on here. So very quickly here. So we're talking about today's topic being appointments and bookings. Now, for the most part, is it safe to say that it's okay to use those terms universally, or is there a difference between the two, John? What would you say on that?
So to me, bookings are done by someone else. It could be the customer. It could be the office staff, right? Appointments are the end result of both of those, right? But so online self booking of appointments, I think, is really convenient, particularly for salons. So they're not answering the phone and filling out a book and saying Tuesday at 4. Those people can actually be attending to the customers instead of being, an administrative person. So I think that's a super convenient option. That, like we talked about with the vet or the tutors, there are other service businesses that could allow customers to self book appointments, right? Again, that veterinarian who's on the road doesn't want to be answering phone calls if someone else can just go online and request their favorite time, right? So it kind of depends, but I'm going to push off the service professional business for another moment or two. I want to point out this advanced widget, which is not maybe a very clear title of what it is, but you can see here, you can create these widgets. In this case, um, Liquid Plumber has a personal widget. So if we view what that looks like, what Square has done is here's all of Liquid Plumber's possible services, right? But if we go and edit that, oh, so here's how you actually book the services. Let's go back and let's see if I can, how do I get at it? That's the good question, Scott. Let's see if it's in here. We'll go next. Um, let's see. Oh, here. Let's see. No, that's not it. What this is a code snippet for this particular employee and their calendar that they could put on Facebook. They could email it to a customer, right? So it's not the online booking screen for the entire business. You can have a particular person schedule it. You could paste it into your website or on your Facebook page, and there's a clickable, bookable link just to their calendar alone. Now, with plumbers, I could have a couple plumbers in that calendar as well, right? I could choose. But anyway, I think that's really a cool feature that's, again, kind of a funny name, but that's the whole point. You had a question?
I
No?
did have a question, and I lost my question.
All right.
Because when I was, I think I know where I was going to be going with this. So when you were talking about the widget, it's built for it's built for the business's employees so that the employee themselves can kind of like put their services out there to anybody. So I guess the question is this one of those things where the business is setting it up knowing that their employee freelances sometimes, or like what use case, I guess, is what I'm looking for on that one, John?
So it could be. I mean, if you rent chairs to stylists,
Yep.
they each stylist might want their own private booking widget, right? Maybe they put on their Facebook page or their Instagram page or whatever. Um, if the salon allows the customer to come in and pick their stylist, it's really more in that, the web page scenario we talked about, right? Or the option two, first available, right? I'm not going to pick my stylist. I just want the most convenient time available.
Day and time. Yep.
So either way, it can handle all of these. And again, on the booking channels, right? We talked about the website, Square Online, but again, you can also link in Instagram, reserve with Google, right? So find a salon near me. I find this salon. I have a reserve now or a book now button on the Google search that comes right back to their booking page. Justin alluded to this earlier in our bearing, where there was those linkages with maps. This is the linkages with Google searches. So again, lots and lots of capabilities here. But let's go back to our calendar view again. And this could be like the salon. This could be the plumbing professionals that are dispatching their teams out in trucks all over town. But notice it also could be maybe I have swimming lessons and classes that I'm doing, right? Or group tutoring classes. Maybe this is an ACT or SAT tutoring class that I hold at different times of the week. or on Saturdays. And notice I've got slots available. So if I click into this one, I've got two slots already booked out of the 8, and I don't know why it reset on me here, but let me let that come back.
All right, so while this is loading, just to kind of emphasize what you're talking about, like the swim classes online, up to 8 people can attend per class. Not so much a countdown feature as much as identifying how many people have signed up for it thus far. So is this where, like you had showed previously, there was like that waiting list for the hair salon? Is this similar with something like this where you can sign up for a class, where even though the class gets booked up, if somebody decides to cancel, now that business's customers could be on a waiting list? Is that correct?
Yeah, so to your point, maybe I take a later group session to guarantee myself a place, but I put myself on the waiting list for the earlier session. So these are all chess pieces that are moving around. And again, I happen to pick 8 slots, but that's arbitrary. It could be 20, it depends on how many chairs around the table. Or we talk about hybrids again, maybe a restaurant during their closed Monday, maybe they do cooking classes around the island and there's only space for 8 people, right? So all of these things are interesting. And so again, a class is an appointment that's open to more than one person, right? Really interesting stuff. And again, you can see who's paid and who hasn't paid. To your point, they can call in and I can add an attendee myself, or they can do it if it's customer facing.
Stop right there, go right back. I gotta know right now. Come on, pull it back up. I
All
want to
right.
see it again. There we go. Take payment. Wait a second. Let's not gloss over that. How are we taking payment here? What are we doing?
Well, you could have a card on file. As we've been drilling into all of you, right? There's tap on glass for both Android and iOS. So technically, I don't even need a dedicated payment device if I have a smartphone. So, and again, think about the field's technicians, those plumbers, those apprentices out in the field doing work. They need to modify the work order based on additional parts used or additional time spent. So just because the office books this drain stoppage, in fact, I'm going to come back away from swim class for a second, Scott. I'm going to go into Darth Vader's appointment here, because he had some drain blockage. At least that's what he called and said he needed. And I'm going to take him at his word because you don't want to be on his dark side, right?
You don't, absolutely.
Um, but as the field technician, I can have on my smartphone the appointments app by Square, and that would show me all of this information that you see here, right? So when is the appointment? What is the service location? Liquid plumber is the assigned thing. We know that he's a heavy breather, right? So we've seen that in the movies before. But in this case, right, drain stoppage is a prefixed amount. But let's say it takes an extra hour, right? I can go in as the plumber and I can edit this pre-booked event, and we can see there's no cards on file here. We can see his history. Boy, he's had a problem with his drains. Huh. Well, that's for another discussion. So I've got this basic service, but let's say I can add additional services or add an item. In this case, I'm going to actually type in labor, and of course we book it out at 15-minute increments. But maybe we added an hour, right? So I'm going to book 4 more of those for an extra 125. This really reflects how long his service took. So we can save it and take a payment. We could just save it, but you can override what the call the office got for the service, because once you start looking under the cover of some of these things, you often find additional parts needed, additional services needed, etc. So super easy to do that. By the way, like Han Solo has the same problem at 2, but we're getting a little close. So I can just drag this and change it to 3 p.m. and I can email or SMS Han Solo to let him know that it's been changed. Maybe he called and said, can we book it an hour later? And all of a sudden, now it's changed and it's reflected back on Liquid Plumber's schedule on his phone.
All right, so let's tie a bow around this because that was a lot of information. So what I'm understanding is that the business's employee, let's call that employee a service tech. The service tech can have the Square Appointments app on their phone, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So to that point, I'm the service tech. I report to John Marshall. John, you told me to set myself up with that Square Appointments app on my phone. You're going to send me out in the field. I have the ability as your employee to tap on the app. I can see my schedule for the day, complete with the address. I can see what it is that I'm going to be addressing when I get to that customer's home, correct?
That's correct. And you can add to that as necessary because those vans of theirs come stocked with all sorts of parts, right? So they can ring up all that stuff without calling back into the office. And then once that's complete, they can take a tap. The other thing is if a certain person like Han Solo here has let's go in and edit this and we will take a payment. So if I go check our other, let's go here and the other. So it doesn't show here, but on the phone app, if you have a house account set up in Square, it will show here in the other list. So maybe this is a corporate business that likes to be billed once a month. So all of these service visits, if you will, get thrown on their house account, and then we'll just go send them a bill for all the services that happened this month, just once. So
Which also
again,
ties.
pulling back that house account functionality that we talked about in the past, which
I
I
was
think
going to say
is
that
really
that was the boot camp that we did on customers in the CRM, which I believe we did last week or the week before. So to you, the sales agent, if you need to get yourself up to speed, just know that you can always go to the Pay Compass YouTube channel. You can look for the previous boot camp sessions that we've done. If you find the one that says customers and CRM, that's the one where John and I take a deeper dive into house counts. John, I'm
yep.
sorry, shameless plug for our YouTube channel.
I,
Take it
I
away, my
love it.
man.
I love it. Also on our Genie app. So, Scott, we talked about the flow of service, right? So I'm over getting this drain blockage figured out, and he says, "Who is this? This is a Darth Vader's house, right?" So the Imperial cruiser has a problem with its sump pump, and that's really bad when you're cruising around in space. So I can't do it today because I've got another appointment coming up. But right here, either on my phone app or in the office, I can book a next follow-up appointment to address that new requirement that we discovered, right? Happens a lot. Can't do it today. I'll be back tomorrow. Book it for tomorrow. Done. Super easy. Um, let's see. What else have we not covered in today's session?
We went
Hmm.
from the websites that are customer facing, customers can go in, they can choose their services. If it's a business where they can actually choose the person that will be providing the service, they can choose those employees and things along those lines. What are the things, and I don't know if you covered this at the very beginning, so what I want to do, John, is I want to kind of shift gears here a little bit because there was something that was really interesting with that hair salon that you had showed earlier. Do you remember when you had dove in, and I think it started by picking the stylist, to which pick the stylist, and then from the stylist choose the service. And then I think when you tried to add another service, then that stylist became
Yep.
unbookable. Do you remember when we were going through that flow this morning and we kind of had that aha moment where it's like, look at that, Square thought of it again. Do you remember that from earlier today?
We do. It was one of these, it might have been a curly cut Yeah, when we stacked multiple services. So we've
This
got,
is what it was. Yes, go
right, so
ahead.
we've got almost everybody who can do a curly cut here, right? So let's add a curly cut. Oh, I guess we cannot. I need to select a staff. So to your point, Scott, and this reflects the available time slots. If I do any staff, I'm going to see the first available. But if I want Blanca to do this, I'm going to add her. And it's not until next that you see the calendar. But notice I can go down here and I can add coloring, right? So let's just do some highlights and oh, peekaboo highlights. That's what I like. All right. So we'll do that. And then again, only those people who can do highlights can be bookable. So I'm going to take Melanie for the highlights and add. And what we've just done is we've added two stylists with two different services in the same appointment, right? So we want them both. We don't know what each of their calendars or availability is. So now that I've got my choice of appointment services, I can go next and I can see, well, actually, I don't have anything till the 21st available. I can go to the next available, or I can join the wait list for today. Right. So let's see what their next availability is. Only one slot on Friday in the afternoon. So let's go to next week. What do they have on Tuesday, Scott? Nothing. She might not work on Tuesday. So again, I can flip through the calendar and see when those two have adjoining available time for this set of services,
Yeah,
right? I
and
don't need to
even
make separate appointments for each stylist. I can group them together.
but also as a benefit to the business owner with their employees, if they're going to be taking time off in the near future, going on vacation, whatever the case may be, that's an opportunity for the business to go in and just kind of block out that employee so they're not going to be available on those days.
So I have here Jimi Hendrix, right? His son or daughter has their first day of school on the 20th. So we've basically booked a personal appointment to block out his availability for this entire day, right? So yes, you can come have standard available days, but you can also then post certain times where I've got to jump out for a personal event, take me off the calendar for this date and this period of the day.
Now, it's safe to assume that for anybody that's booking appointments and things like that, Square will take payment up front, correct?
They will, and you can actually require a deposit to hold the date.
There we go.
Maybe you put $50 down, or maybe you have a cancellation policy if it's within 24 hours of your appointment, right? So this is that great advantage we were talking about, Scott, where there are other booking solutions out there, but they lack the ability to take payments, to take deposits, to keep a card on file, no show penalties. And again, we touched on this earlier in this call, lots of uh, reach out touch points to make sure the customer doesn't forget about their appointment. Maybe they make this, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, but the services, when you define them, allow how far in the future I can book. So the default is 365 days. So by then, you're going to need a reminder email. Hey, next week is your appointment, and 2 hours from now today is the appointment. So all of
Yep.
those reminders can be automated.
Yeah, and I would say too, just thinking back to like some other opportunities that we may have looked at previously when it comes to setting up, the scheduling and the booking online. Yeah, sure, you can book the appointments, but Square just taking it to the next level with the deposits, pay in full. Uh, do you know if they do installments at all, John? As far as, X amount of
Not
time?
not not so much for professional services. Again,
Okay,
when we did our past boot camp on estimates, you
estimates and
can't you
invoices.
can't have like it's more for perhaps a construction job where I want 25% up front and then net 30, net 60, that type of thing. And that can,
Got
by
it.
the way, as we learned, that can be attached to a contract, right? So they can e-sign a contract to guarantee and prove that they're getting and they approved of the services. But one other neat thing I want to show you, and again, I'm thinking about this perhaps more on the stylist standpoint instead of the drain stoppage. But notice up here, there's an option to view messages, right? So, and we touched on this, Scott, when we did our fictitious online ordering for hospitality.
Mm.
You and I were messaging, but I can actually send Darth Vader a text message saying, by the way, if you're leaving, can you leave the back door open? Yes, Afterpay is supported. I don't know if it's supported in the appointments section. I will test that in a second. But anyway, so I can directly text message my past or future appointments. For example, make sure you bring a picture of the hairstyle you want, or maybe the customer messages me and said, by the way, how long after a perm should I not shower? Right? You can start a direct connection and a conversation with each of your clients through here. And then once we close this down, you can see the messages section will show up right here on your portal. So any staff who's on can see anybody who's saying, "Oh, I'm running 15 minutes late, but I will be there for my appointment." All right. So there's this communication built in to this whole Square ecosystem, which I think is really interesting. So think about that last result. Maybe you're not happy about your cut or your color, right? You can rate your experience, and me as the owner, I can see that you weren't happy and say, you know what? Come back in tomorrow. I'll personally fix it for you before they go on social media and start like damaging your reputation, right? So there's reason they built this in, which I think is really cool. So Scott, we are
Yes,
within
sir.
10 minutes.
We are.
Let me look up that next. Let's take a look and see if Afterpay shows up here or if it's over on. We'll take a payment. Card. Let's see, what else do we have? It doesn't look like Afterpay is built into the appointment scheduling, but it is over on the invoicing side. Let's go
Over
check.
on the invoicing side, and I can see that the way that was framed into the chat, they can offer Afterpay for payments over time, meaning going back once again to a previous session where we talked about the invoicing and the billing and things along those lines. That's where that feature comes in. Not available with bookings, but it is a great feature that is available on this side.
Let's see here. So here's acceptable. So, and again, in invoicing, I do have Afterpay available as a payment method. So I'll have to check. Okay, so I've got, where is it here? So this is my swim like a fish. This was my fake booking site, but let's see. And by the way, you can book a block of ten appointments, right? 10 visits, whatever, at a discount, which is kind of neat. Here's our drain stoppage. I don't know if this is going to let me pay up front. Let's use Liquid Plumber. Drain stoppage, we're going to do next. Next available. Okay, this is going to be 9:30 a.m. I may not have, I don't have prepayments enabled at this point. Again, this is due at the appointment, right? So I need to set that setting to see if that works.
All right, we're getting some knowledge dropped on us from one of our attendees. Crystal put into the chat. Your customers can book an appointment and prepay by using Afterpay, and she included a link. So to you, the sales agent, if you want to check that out, Crystal, domo arigato, thank you for dropping that in there. Matter of fact, I'm going to click on that link and I'm going to get that bookmark because I do want to go back and revisit that a little bit later on.
The payments and cancellations. Let's do this. I'm sort of following along with you, Crystal. Afterpay for online booking, it does work. We just have to manage and set that up.
And
Okay.
today was the day where the student became the teacher. Crystal, thank you very much. Rock on. That was awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yep.
Here we go. I have it enabled. All right. I don't know why it's not letting me in because it's already on, right? Afterpay.
But that's fine. That's good to know, though. So look at that. I mean, it's one of those things where John and I will get together, we'll put together these sessions, but this actually makes us happy knowing that you, the sales agent, are starting to become more familiar with your Square demo account, and now you can just kind of show that to the audience. So thank you for doing that. Much appreciated. John, I noticed that you went back to this website again. Was there anything else that you wanted to highlight here, my man?
Not yet. I see there's one more question here. Do
Oh,
appointment
question.
reminders and communications with the client count towards the SMS allotment tied to marketing? No, they do not. Marketing is a different SMS batch, right? And
All
Plus
right.
and Premium have different pools. I think it's 500 for Plus and 2,500 for Premium. But that's marketing only, not communications and reminders.
So marketing a little bit more targeted. Also, usually marketing, scheduling those SMS to go out at a specific time or targets a specific customer. What you are showing today is just direct communication. I'll be showing up at 9 o'clock this morning. Don't have a car parked in the driveway because we have a really big truck. Whatever that communication is that the merchant needs to have with the
Yep.
customer that they're going to be providing the service to.
So with marketing, and let's think about beauty for a second, right? So you could have a marketing automation send an SMS or email campaign, doesn't matter, to those people that had touch-ups 3 weeks ago, saying it's almost time, or it is time to book your next touch-up appointment, right? So that's an outreach marketing campaign based on when they actually had their service that you don't have to generate. It automatically does that after 3 weeks since their last touch-up or whatever service you want to highlight. Oh, that's a bad pun, by the way.
Ah, as you did there.
But anyway, so that's a neat way of marketing to your existing base. Get them to make an appointment before they make an appointment at a competitor, right? It engages with them, reminding them it's almost time.
Speaking about it's almost time, I'm looking into the chat right now. All right, so at this point, I think we've pretty much covered everything we needed to cover, John, correct?
We have.
All right, so at this point, we will stop the recording and we're going to open it up to live questions from you, the sales agent.